few minutes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Cylon, Johns, and Jules. We have a pretty exciting episode this week. I'm excited to talk about it anyway. A whole lot of shit goes down. But first, ladies, please introduce yourselves for any of our new viewers. Starting with Clarissa.
Hi there, I'm Clarissa Thompson. Welcome to the Cylon, Johns, and Jills. I have really enjoyed this episode a lot, and I'm really looking forward to talking about it because there were so many really moments. Did that just happen? And that is my opening commentary.
Yes, and you know me, I am Mackenzie or Mackenzie Alborn or Sasa or whatever you want to call me at this point. And yes, episode 5, The Road Less Traveled is what this episode is called. And my oh my, there's some fighting about which road they're going to take, whether it's to go forward or backwards. And man, we may have gotten some extra knowledge in this episode, especially between two Cylons that had actually a conversation. So, yeah, it'll be really, really fun to talk about it with the 4 of us today. And Bobby. Say hi to everybody, Bobby.
Hello, everybody.
Yes, Bobby. But, yeah. We get a lot on this episode, and we get to see how Starbuck is really acting now, and also Hot Dog makes a new appearance.
Hey, Bobby,
In
yes.
this episode. We haven't seen Hot Dog in, oh my gosh, quite a few episodes now. I think I made the joke pre-stream, but it's like we haven't seen him since he was talking about his rash.
Is it really the last time we saw Hot Dogs when he was talking about his rash?
I think
We've
so.
seen him since then. He just hasn't really said or done anything.
Or yeah,
Itchy and Scratchy show.
Itchy and Scratchy. Yeah, there's quite a few elements to this show. Where do we want to start with this one?
Well, apparently 2 babies have been born. That was one of the interesting things that I picked up.
I didn't catch that at all.
Neither did I.
On
Well,
the
Because Callie died
population?
at the end of the last episode. And at the end of the last episode, there were 39,675 survivors, and now there are 39,676. So that means 2 babies have been born.
Didn't catch it.
I missed that as well.
I always write down the number. I have to. It's like an obsessive thing. Speaking of numbers, day 58.
Yeah, 2 months in, man. I read that and I was like, oh man, 2 months in, that's rough.
Yeah.
Like, people are getting squirrely.
So especially on like a what is it, a waste recycling ship?
Yeah. Not much space is going on with the amount of crew that they have.
This is the worst episode of Big Brother ever.
Big Brother in space. That's
Like,
what you get.
It's actually like the best episode of Big Brother.
Well, it's just like you're stuck in the same house with the same people for 2 months, and you're just like, I just want to slap you, but let's all gang up on one person.
Right.
Be like, you're voted off the island. Goodbye. Even though the survivor. Like
Danny!
this episode really showed what it means to go against, or like to be going against the wishes of your fleet, basically, because of what Starbuck is trying to do. Because a certain somebody shows up in this episode.
Yes.
So I
Yeah.
guess that's what we're talking about is the tin can in space
Guess-
right now.
Well, that's kind of the first part of the episode, if I find
It's true, it is, isn't it?
Well, first, I think we should talk about Hilo and Starbuck.
And how that dynamic is.
Because he's the one who's like, hey, you guys are like mutineers. You need to quit talking this shit. You know, you need to just be on board with what the plan is. And, you know, that's the thing. They don't have to jump back to the fleet for another 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone's freaking out because they haven't found anything yet. And it's like, hey, you still have 2 days. Like, but they're spazzing out. And there's a lot of insubordination. There's a lot of, things being said in the background. And
Sharon.
Do what?
Sharon whispering in everybody's ear, getting shit going.
Yeah.
Well, even worse than Sharon's that fucking. I can't even remember his name. That fucking.
The other kid.
Mouthy
guy.
kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needed to get punched.
Totally.
I was very satisfied when he got his dick knocked in the dirt.
But is he getting back up? Didn't look like it.
Well, he's
Well,
probably knocked out cold because
It looks like
when
Hilo's got a hell of a punch.
Well, and he does the gut punch, and then he gives him a whack on the head with the butt of a gun. Like, he's down, that kid.
Pistol whip, bitch.
But to what Bobby was just saying, and I agree, we were talking about this before the show, too. It just seems like the Sharon model is built for betraying people. The boomer Sharon was a betrayer. She shot Adama.
Yep.
And the Athena Sharon is now turning, and the Sharon on the Cylon vessel was the one that turned on the rest of its sisters. Like, she's the shit disturber model.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the whole Sharon going against Starbuck thing is quite, I'm going to say the word, interesting. Roman dice video thing. But that this whole also idea about her being like the one that's going against Starbuck is quite interesting because of how it's showing that the Cylon's trying to take control of this situation. Like, hey, like, why is she acting all strange? Maybe she is like one of like acting like maybe she is a Cylon. But little do they know that the other ones are actually looking for actively, the other versions of herself are actively looking for the Final Five. And if Starbuck is a member of the Final Five, it's quite interesting that she wants to get rid of her. But the fact with Hilo and Starbuck, because we all know that they have a interesting relationship in terms of their past, that Hilo like comes to her and is like, you're like starting to lose people here. Like, you had them for like probably a couple days, but now it's 2 days before we're potentially gonna get lost by Galactica. It's either we show back up or they're gonna mark us as dead. So I'm not surprised everybody's starting to get really angry. And especially when Leoben shows up and that pushes her to be like, no, we gotta jump forward. Like when he shows up and it just even twists her mind games again. Just, I can understand why, but like, no.
We'll get into that in just a second. First, I want to say hi to everybody who's out there. We've got Apparently Human, a new friend of the channel. Welcome.
That's Catherine Harding. She just
Rebranded.
She changed her name. Well, she's still a friend. The Hobbyist, welcome back. We also have Danny McKay, some girl named Bobby Catalano. I don't know what she's all about. Clarissa Thompson from the Great White North, and some girl named Mackenzie Burns.
Take off to the Great White North.
Cool,
love that song.
Bobby and I, we just, like, I hate the weather here. You hate the weather there. Why don't you come up here, we'll elope, and go live in Clarissa's basement?
You'd have to like share the space with the wood shop and the sound gear and the everything's in the basement, man. You want the upstairs, it's where it's at.
Okay, the upstairs works too.
Did you guys see the photos that I posted? Bobby, I think I sent them to you.
The snow?
Yeah.
Those are great pictures.
Oh my god, you guys. The snow's insane here right now.
I had a huge smile on my face. I'm like, look at that snow. I miss
Oh,
it.
and you sent all your precipitation this way. The other day it was literally raining sideways.
Oh, we were trying
And
to
it was
send
like
it to
pounding
Australia.
Do what?
We were trying to send it to Australia, which apparently got some.
Fix your directions, okay? Because Australia's southeast of you, and or southwest of you, and we're southeast of you.
Yeah.
So fix the directions.
It's those coastal winds, man.
Because we don't need your rain.
We do. Well, we need the snow.
Maybe you do. You just don't know it yet, John.
Up until last year, we'd had quite a few years in a row of drought. So we're perfectly happy to get a snowpack as long as it doesn't melt too fast in the spring, because then that just means all of our reserves for the summer is gone, and mudslides and flooding.
We're always in drought here.
Yeah,
no
I
matter
know.
how many hurricanes we get.
Yeah, but we're in the mountains, 2 hours from the Rockies. Like, we're nothing but forests. Just a big fat campfire waiting to happen.
Yeah.
So.
A big fat campfire waiting to happen.
Oh my god, it's awful.
Oh, okay. So getting back into Starbucks' story. Yeah, the ship shows up. Their greatest contact.
More than just the ship showing up, but her finally getting her butt off the boat and into fighter to go and do scouting herself, because the feeling is that strong for her. The 3 times the charm thing.
Right.
Yes.
This is why I'm like, why are you mutinying? She's all like, this is it. This is it. I can feel it. I'm going out scouting. Hey, I went scouting and we found something. Like,
right.
How do you not see that this is happening?
Well,
when
the same notes
that's
are
supposed
solid.
to be happening? They just don't want to go home.
Yeah.
Oh, this drives me crazy about this show sometimes.
I can understand the apprehension anytime Cylons come along. I mean, you got to think. Humanity is now reduced to 39,676 people.
No, and I get that. I get the reservation and everything like that.
And especially
the whole
after
thing,
Africa.
The whole thing of this mission was based on a feeling that Starbuck had. That hasn't changed. That's how it started. Like, what did they think was going to happen?
What happened before?
Like,
Again.
I think they're on they're reserved because it's this big like ship that's like in some way floating towards them. So it's like, oh, better watch out for that. It's like a hunk of junk that's like floating towards them. They're like, gotta watch out for that. And then she's like decides that she wants to go ahead and like investigate. Even hot dogs, like, what are we doing this? Like, why are we going this direction? Like, when Hilo's even like, you have to keep your eye on her because, you know, the last time that someone tried to keep their eyes on her, she disappeared or she died. That was with Lee. So it's like keeping your eye on her is quite a task. But we hear that she hears Leoben's voice, which, whew, like, the fact that she hears him again is just, this is going to be a trippy episode when she starts hearing him again. And
Oh, yeah.
even Heel's like, what is going on?
So what are the chances she's not the last Cylon? She hears things. She's got a mental beacon to Earth. She's
got a mental beacon to Cylon. Like, she just found Leoben.
Right. And I mean, if she isn't, they sure are trying to make us believe she is.
That's true.
So I have two questions to pose to you, ladies. The first is Starbuck really onto something, or is she losing it?
Can't tell.
I mean, she found Leoben. Of all the places in all the universe that he could have showed up and they could have been, they converged.
Of all the gin joints in all the world.
Right? Yeah, the walk into mine.
On that?
Again. Like,
he was the only one in that beat up ship, right?
Correct.
Yeah, the sole survivor, I guess. Yeah. For me, like I've been kind of thinking, is she's not crazy. It's just, it's being like what she's going through, this transformation of sorts, if you want to call it that, is what's making her look crazy. Because, like, we all thought Baltar was absolutely insane, but look,
He
he's
still
like,
might be.
I don't know that I've changed my opinion.
So you're saying it's like a Van Gogh thing.
Yeah, like you have to go crazy.
She's not really insane, but like the fact that nobody sees her vision, she's like starting to lose it, and on top of that, her vision's like here, and where everybody else is thinking is here.
Yeah, like she's going through this like transformation of sorts, like, because if she's not a Cylon, she's valuable to the Cylon race in some aspect. Like finding Earth is the big thing.
Goes beyond her own.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So the idea that she's like, everybody just disputes what her actions are as crazy, but she may herself view herself as crazy, to then at the end kind of understand why she's been seen as crazy. Like, the connection that she's getting means something, kind of like how people, they still probably do, but in the very beginning when Baltar was just talking to himself, we all thought, oh, this man is absolutely nuts. Like, we didn't understand why. So we're, again, I guess, looking at Starbuck right now from the audience's perspective of, oh, this woman like is absolutely crazy, but because we don't understand why she's like being crazy, like, so to speak. That's what I like think is how it is. But they're just trying to explain it away, like, oh, like her time away from the fleet changed her to now she's absolutely crazy. But in all actual reality, it's a transformation of sorts. Like
Leo would say.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
It makes me think of the old cliche that if you think you might be crazy, you're not crazy. Because an insane person would never think that they were insane. Whereas if you question that, you're probably not.
I don't know about that. I think you could question if you're crazy. Like, I think that moments of lucidity are entirely possible.
I like what Christian Slater says in Pump Up the Volume.
Well, that's taking me back.
and I'm going to replace a certain word so that we don't get taken off the air. But you're not fracked up. You're a non-fracked up reaction to a fracked up situation in a fracked up place in a fracked up time. But you're not fracked up.
Yeah, true.
And that it's kind of. And by the way, everybody's as dirty as Starbuck now.
What?
I said everybody's as dirty as Starbuck now.
Dirty
Yeah.
Starbuck.
The whole stinky crew.
She may still be the stinkiest of the stinky because she may have had a head start compared to the rest of them.
And she's
The
covered.
What? What, Bobby?
And she's covered in paint.
The
So
I
she's
do.
just dirty.
disgusting Demetrius.
I do like what they visually did, what they've visually done so far this season with the Demetrius, because you really feel like they're on an industrial ship without proper weather or temperature control. It's a freaking sewage refinery. Like, and I think visually what they did with this episode really gives you that feeling, especially because they cut away to like people in the fleet who are like doing without, but they still look so much cleaner and healthier and like they've slept in the past week, which nobody on the freaking Demetrius looks like they've slept in the past week.
Well, it's probably like a sauna, like in there, because it's like you said, it's like garbage fleet, so it's probably they're not so concerned with like proper ventilation and all that other.
No, I'm just saying I think they pulled that off really well.
Like, and also too in the set design as well, like in terms of the makeshift, like command area that we have on like Galactica, like that was well done as well. Like trying to, like where they're all like, well, where the episode ends effectively, where they're like, no, you're like, but we'll get to that. But like that was also well done as well to make us look like, oh, they actually have a command spot where they can make decisions.
My internet's not behaving.
Oh no.
Just giving you a fair warning.
So the second question is, do you think Leoben is actually a visionary, or do you think he's just trying to fuck with Starbuck's head?
He's been Mr. Spiritual since the beginning of the series, so I don't think, like, I think there's a lot of things that Leoben is, but I don't think that he's faking his enthusiasm for his faith. I've never thought that. He totally believes what he's saying.
What was he saying in the episode when he was saying about how many times she killed him over and over when he held her captive? What was he getting at there?
Basically, that if you kill me again, you'll get the same sensations. Like you'll have the same feeling as you did all of those times, but you won't get it again if you kill me because he's too far from the resurrection ship.
Because it won't.
Yeah.
Because he's not going to come back, so she can kill him again, kind of thing. Like
and he's like, yeah, go ahead, kill me, please. Like you almost wonder if he just wants to be done with it.
I don't know that he wants to be done with it. I think that he's accepted whatever his fate brings him, then that's what he'll have.
I have a question.
Whatever she decides.
Yeah, because he also is saying similar stuff to Anders too. But go ahead, Bobby.
Well, if he doesn't come back, right? If she kills him and he doesn't come back because he's too far from the resurrection ship, is there still more of him there? Does he actually need to come back? I mean, they're still him.
Question.
The 6s, the 8s, and the Leobens split off from the rest of the fleet. And then their ship got attacked by the other Cylons.
Right.
So
But were they carrying all their own spare bodies, or is there other resurrection ships that
no,
have
they just
spare
have that
bodies
one.
of them?
They just have that one base star. That's what he's saying. Like, 'cause you
So
saw
whichever
that,
one survived are all there is.
right? You saw that in the last episode. The base star jumped away, so it's
So
damaged.
that ship that they just ran into is the one that was getting attacked by the other Cylons?
Well, it's a raider, so it's on the base star. It was on the ship that was being attacked by the other Cylons. But the ship they ran into is just like a raider.
So those sixes are gone and all the ones that were being attacked? I think I missed something. I must have
No,
missed something.
they're still alive. Just all the sixes, all the eights, with the exception of Boomer,
Right.
and all the Leobans are on that one single ship that got attacked.
That was attacked.
Right.
So they lost all of their spares. Or
Yeah.
however many didn't survive whichever ones didn't escape.
And
If
they have
any
a
of them
lot of
escaped.
Centurions with free will. So there's that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, they got Leoben, and they kind of tie Leoben up too, because they're like, well, we gotta throw him somewhere. They put him in the corner, like in this like one small area, and
The Cylons are doing themselves in.
it's quite interesting how even Anders reacts to this whole
No
situation.
internet.
That's so strange.
Uh-oh.
But
No chat.
he's like, oh, what does it? Yeah, because Anders is like wandering around, and then he finds out obviously that Leoben is on the ship, and then he realizes that Starbuck's having moments alone with him, and it's just like he like decks him.
And he
Like,
rescued her
yeah,
from that place he had her all that time on New Caprica. So
yeah.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
he's like, I'm gonna take care of business.
Because he is
Did-
also what, Bobby?
Oh, I was gonna say, did Leoben notice that he was a Cylon? They're kind of looking at each other funny.
He talks about. I started to write parts of this down. He's like talking about how Anders and Leoben, like the Cylons and the humans, should join forces,
Mm-hmm.
and that he saw him playing pyramids and all
Right.
of this stuff. So it's not alluding to the fact that he knows that Anders is one of the final five, is what I got from it. It's just like seeing how he reacts to
Uh,
this conversation.
He does say the most
Yeah.
basic article of faith. You know you were destined for more. No one's going back.
Yeah, I got the impression that he was maybe not sure, but that he thought maybe something was up with him. I don't know.
Well, I could say that to like pretty much everybody. If anybody came up to him and was like, maybe you are. But
Maybe.
it's probably the fact that also he was decked by Anders too. Is just like because over Starbuck effectively. So it's like, oh, I gotta play mind games with this one and see if it'll break him.
Right. But
Yeah.
he does say, together we will find Earth.
Yeah.
Do any of you think that might be important?
Yeah, Leoben's not dying just yet.
Find who?
Find Earth.
Oh,
Find
I thought you said her.
Earth. Yeah, they're all gonna find Earth. I think that's finding Earth has to be the mid-season finale kind of thing. Like, and then like them getting back, bringing everybody there. Like a small crew gonna find Earth, and then bringing everybody to Earth is gonna be the other thing. Because also, I guess Hera was left with the civilians or someone. Like, where was Hera left? Because they have never mentioned Hera. Or
I
they
did
open
kind of wonder about the childcare situation because both Athena and Hilo are on this mission.
Yeah.
So I did wonder about the childcare situation. I mean, it's not like they could give her to Callie to take care of her.
No.
Oh, did I go there?
But yeah. Hi, Amanda.
I don't know.
What you saying, buddy?
Maybe some sort of permanent or long-term daycare facility or something.
Well, because if Hera was on the ship, then you'd think that Leoben would be able to, like, you know, feel that she was there. Like, if she was on the Demetrius, is what I'm saying. Because, like, Hera, they kind of went up and down with Hera's significance lately. Like, ever since season 4 kind of started, they, like, kind of went up and down with how important she is. So I'm surprised that, like, there's not much mention of her importance because of the Cylons and leaving her on the ship without her mom and stuff, but who knows? Someone's watching her. We just don't know their names because they're not. Maybe it's Doc Coddle.
Maybe she don't need watching.
A self-sufficient 2-year-old.
Wow.
Maybe that's. Maybe Cylon models are like that.
I think
She's like a baby gazelle. Just go.
I think she's like almost 4 now. Still, it's
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I think she's like almost 4 now, though.
Oh, I just wanted to point out because I wrote down at the dialogue. So when he, because they're talking about with Anders when he's talking to Leoben, he says this isn't all what we are, and he talks about the backstory. And he says to Anders, "It's like if I die, then Kara's dream dies with me." So it's like he's obviously going to be the one that gets her / everybody else then to Earth. So maybe they actually have to go on this mission. That's probably why Anders in the end is like, what's going on? As well as like how they obviously have to join forces, including going to the base ship, which brings up the whole idea of them going and being a part of the Cylon War, which is probably why they didn't bring Hera. It's like just in case something happens. But that brings up the question.
My one thing about Leoben and Anders is 3 pointed out, and so has 1, that they aren't supposed to know who the Final 5 are.
Like Leoben and the rest of the other Cylons aren't supposed to know who the Final 5 are?
The 7 aren't supposed to know who the Final 5 are.
They weren't supposed to know.
They've made that clear like a number of times.
Well, that they weren't supposed to know, but does that mean that they're never supposed to know?
I'm just bringing up.
They're gonna find out. This is how the end of the show is, I think. Like, they can't end this show without the, not reunification, that's not the right word, but like everybody knowing who everybody is. Like, that's how the show ends, is like effectively. Like, why would they keep it a mystery from 7 people, but everybody else knows?
And that Diana, who was that her name?
Yeah, Diana Beers, yeah.
She saw them all. Did she see them all in that thing?
Yeah, she saw them, died, both like in that the temple, and then she came back, and that's when Leoben's like, we gotta box your line.
Right, so they're bringing her.
No, it wasn't Leoben who said that. It was Cavill.
It was Cavill who said it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I messed up the word.
That's all right.
I meant to say Cavill, and as Leoben was running out of my mouth.
So, do you think that's an actual fact, or do you think Cavill just doesn't want? Do you think he's pulling something shifty?
He's always pulling something shifty. He's Cavill.
Yeah, he wants he wants to know as much as they do, but he wants to be, a Cylon. He wants to be better than everybody else. Like, yeah. And I still think that Deanna has to come back, because I know that was a big thing of, like, the whole Cylon storyline a couple episodes ago, but
Yeah, weren't they going to bring her back?
yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah, so her coming back is going to mean something, and that probably
Yeah.
will
She's going to
mean
have to tell us the last one.
yeah,
Somebody's
like,
got to tell us.
yeah. Again, I think that's why do I feel like that's I think that's mid-season finale kind of thing. Is like to let the audience know who it is, and then have everybody else figure it out when we come back. Like when the storyline picks up again, because they're really like gonna not dragging it out, but it's like one of those things where it's like you gotta end it on a good cliffhanger and then like carry through.
Well, with season 4, I mean, there's so many loose ends to tie up
Mm-hmm.
that
I have a question.
but they've done it well. I've always told you guys, Ron and Dave set out with this show to have a specific end at a specific time. And season 4 actually ends up going far longer than they had planned on, because we have like 4.0 and 4.5. They had just planned on it being a normal season, and it actually is essentially as long as 2 seasons.
I have a question.
But it's because they wanted to wrap it up properly.
The show actually ends, right?
Yes.
They give it an ending. All
Yes.
Yeah, it wasn't canceled. Like, it wasn't one of those type of endings. Like it was
Heroes.
Oh, don't even get me started on the end of
Boy,
Heroes.
that pissed me off.
Oh.
That was such a good show.
And maybe the second half of season 2 might have made me a little annoyed, but
That was a good show.
By the way, I found an awesome Motorhead cover of Heroes by David Bowie, which is freaking amazing.
Just for one day.
Just for one day.
Yeah. So we get with so they're deciding on whether or not to investigate the base ship, but they're like, nope. But then this is when obviously Athena mentions the mutiny, and then Starbuck's like, nope, we're gonna go investigate. And they investigate the raider, and I can't remember her name. Can I write it down? But basically, an officer gets killed because it malfunctions, as Leoben wants to call it.
Yeah. Do you think it was set up to blow up, or do you think it was an actual malfunction?
It looked pretty mangled.
It seems like it. Well, because it's science and this whole thing, but it could be one of those situations where it probably was meant to blow up, but not right now. So it was like a later thing that was meant to happen, or it was just a delayed from the attack. Like, it was one of those delayed things that was meant to go off, and it just didn't until it happened to be that moment. But I'm not good at that. Not good at science.
I had a car that caught on fire once. It wasn't anybody else's fault, or it wasn't even my fault. It just caught on fire because it was like a ghetto ass car with like almost 400,000 miles on it, and finally just died. 1983 Mercury Grand Marquis. It was turd brown, and I bought it with like 200,000 miles on it, and put another 100,000 miles on it, and then one day it just like literally the engine burst into flames while I was driving down the road.
It's like,
oh my god.
No more.
But
I'm done.
I had only paid $350 for it, and that is the best $350 I've ever paid in my life.
Yeah, the car, it was just like, no more. I can't handle this. No more.
Just gave up.
I give up. Yeah, I think it's hard to say if it was like planned or if it was like a thing that just happened. Nobody could say it probably was planned, but it was probably just a coincidence to like make them angry. Which it clearly made Starbuck angry because it's like it caused her to be angry at him, which then sends her
Well, yeah,
down to
she
root
goes all
to him.
Clockwork Orange on his ass.
Yeah, and starts beating him, and then he's just like, "Kill me!" But it's like, but if you kill me, your dream dies. Basically, it's like then if I die, then all of this stuff going on in your head dies too. Basically, and
Yep.
that's a hard pill to swallow. Almost, it's like you want to kill
So
somebody.
what does
so-
that mean? Is he in her head? Is she mental?
It's the question I was
Yeah.
asking earlier.
That's,
I don't know.
did you ever see Drop Dead Fred?
Of course.
Yes.
You know when she took the pills when she was little and Drop Dead Fred was just gone? is that what's happening?
Hmm.
It is he there or is he not? Is he in her head? Is he not? You know he's physically there,
Yeah.
but like the same thing with Six and Baltar, and are they see him, they hear him when they're not there, but are they? Are they all mental? Or is this an insane asylum?
the Truman Show on like extra level.
Totally.
Like that's all that's left of humanity is insane people? Is that what you're asking?
I mean, it would like being the last of humanity would drive some people to go crazy.
Absolutely.
Kind of drove Callie crazy, so like,
But even then, I mean,
Well, she's
it's
good.
not. Go ahead.
Go, Bobby.
Oh, I said she's good now. She has no problems, no more.
No
Very true.
problems.
No.
Oh yeah, we'll get to the shit show story here in a little bit.
Oh Jesus. Yeah.
But let's finish up this storyline really quick if you guys don't mind.
Yeah.
Leoben specifically says that to Starbuck that nothing feels like it did.
Yep.
Before the nebula. And he talks about all your life you've wanted to be punished, you wanted to suffer. And he says the next step on your journey is coming here.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as Mackenzie brought up, he calls her an angel blazing with the light of God.
Yeah, that was creepy.
Yeah, but it proves the idea that she's like this whole thing is it's making her crazy because she's meant for more. Like it's not just messing with her just to mess with her. It's like messing with her for a purpose. And that purpose is, I guess, what drives Leoben to be Leoben and be all crazy and creepy with her.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
Yeah. It's just like it makes sense that she's like personified as kind of like the angel, because if she's able to, with Leoben's help, find Earth, then she'll be, I guess, be considered an angel, even though it probably won't be written down in the New Earth or whatever you want to call it history books is that Captain Terrace Race saved everybody, but it may be possible.
So I don't. I'm seeing interesting parallels with the whole path of Baltar and Leoben too. Like, are they gonna bring Leoben back to Galactica with them? Is he gonna end up with Baltar? Is he gonna And I also find
Please
myself
expand on that, because I'm terribly interested in hearing what you have to say there.
Well, I mean, Leoben is all about this mission of God, and we got Pious Gaius taking on this whole mission of God thing. Like, what is it? Like, are they? The question is what's going to happen with the Leoben? Like, they have committed mutiny against Starbuck. So does that mean that they're going to turn around and they're going to go back to Galactica? Because when they go back to Galactica, that means Leoben's going to be with them. And then if the Leoben is there, then you know that Head Six is going to know that the Leoben's there, and she's going to tell Baltar because she knows things. Like, things go on, and she knows what they're happening. He doesn't know. It's not like he's psychic or something. Well, I guess if he has a spirit talking to him, he's a psychic. I mean, look at Long Island Psychic has had how many seasons? You know?
Oh, the
Somebody's
medium?
talking in her head. He's got some kind of a
Oh, yeah.
he's a medium or whatever with the Head Six. So anyway, as soon as he finds out there's another Cylon on board, especially if it's one of the Leobens, he's gonna want to know what's going on. Because he's Baltar, among all other things. He has to have his finger in every pot.
Yeah, I think it's possible that they bring him back to Galactica. I mean, if they are 2 days away from their the supposed end of their mission, I can see that because this is obviously part 1 of 2. If you haven't watched, it's a part 1 of 2, and so I could see that they bring him with them because I don't feel like Starbuck, especially after that conversation with him about that we're just gonna dump him or airlock him or whatever they can on that small ship into space. Like, it's gonna be one of those things where they need an asset in the war coming up, and if they have Leoben, who is crazy, they may need that. Like, because I don't see them getting rid of him just yet because Anders has a weird thing now going on with Leoben, and now Starbuck has something interesting with Leoben as well. I think it's just the rest of them are just gonna stomp their feet and be like, no, but they're gonna be like, no, we actually have to keep him.
Can you
Even
demonstrate that, Mackenzie?
what, stomp their feet and say no?
Yes.
Yeah, I can, but I'm not on camera right now. I'd be like, stomp, turn their feet.
That
But
would
yeah,
have been.
I think that they're gonna keep him because why bring him onto the show? Mess with Starbuck, more specifically, mess with Starbuck and Anders, and then just let him go next episode. Like, it just doesn't seem right. It seems like they're gonna have him for a little while to continue to mess with her, at least until they find Earth. I think he's sticking around. May not be on Galactica, but he's sticking around for much longer than you can expect, which will probably be mid-season. But, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, then obviously they have the whole confrontation at the end of the episode. And oh my, that was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I do want to mention, like to start that scene off, Starbucks monologue has to be one of the best monologues in the entire series. About the officer who died. I just thought it was really well done, really well delivered, well written. You know, and it's like just she starts off. She's like, "I'm not good at this," and then goes through the whole monologue. I really it pulled at the heartstrings a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
yes, the end of this episode. Unless anybody has any other thoughts about what Starbucks did at the funeral.
I think she obviously feels bad because it was because of her wanting to figure out where Leoben was coming from that that officer died. So basically, she feels bad that she was killed in a senseless manner, almost like, but not like that. It was like completely senseless, but it was that she died because of Starbuck. Like, and I feel like now more than ever, it seems like Starbuck's more sympathetic to the people that are killed because of her. Like, not like before that she was like, ha, this person died. But it's probably through her somewhat transformation that she's going through that she feels more affected by it.
Yeah, but she's always cared about people that died. She just doesn't show it.
Yeah, not like the way she did.
But
But
she
this
knows
one.
all their names and about them.
Now that was another one of the best scenes in the entire series. Is the one at the wake, and she remembers every single name. I thought that was awesome.
I did too, because it gives her some.
What was that, like season 2, I think?
She's not very emotional.
Or was it for Cat when they did it?
Yeah, it was.
Then that's season 3. Then because we lost Cat like maybe in season 3. Yeah, when she talks about that stuff, it's like because she was given the crew to be commanded of, and she obviously feels bad that a person died under her watch. Like it's for the watch. No, I'm joking. But like you'd have to feel bad, and she feels bad, and then that's kind of what bleeds into the whole conversation about how, well, because I can't remember his name, but he wants to like go after Starbuck and kill her because they think that she's a Cylon, and he was like, nope, and clocks him in the head, basically, and then she comes back, and this is where all of the end makes you go dun what dun 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 dun, and it's basically how Hilo basically gives her no option, that they have to go back to Galactica, and she's like, no. And then she thinks she's still in charge, but she's not actually in charge anymore.
Hilo put up with a lot of crap this episode.
He did.
Yeah, he spends the majority of the episode saying, hey, you know, she's our commanding officer, you need to support her.
And then?
But at the end, he sides with everybody else, and you know, and this is Starbuck's best friend. You know, I mean, he is her best friend, and it's some pretty intense stuff.
Some best friend.
But is he wrong?
Yeah, she's like, what did she say? She's like, Hilo is like the captain of this fleet or whatever, that I relieve you of your XO duties, and that Gata is now the new XO. And then he's like, I'm sorry, sir, I can't because they wanted to jump forward, and he's like, I can't listen to your order. And then she tries to bring Gata as the new XO, which would have been interesting. And then Anders is like, what's going on? Or something kind of thing. Like the lost puppy dog. He just shows up, and
Hey
then
guys.
it's like, and then Hilo's just like, as an officer, as the XO, and as an officer of the military, it's like you're breaking military code, whatever. And it's like, remove you as the captain of this fleet or whatever. And then it's like, da da da. That's how it. And then it flashes to be continued, and you're like, what's
Yep.
gonna happen?
See, I didn't think of Anders so much as like a puppy dog, as more like I can't remember their names, but the couple who robbed the restaurant at the beginning of Pulp Fiction.
Well, I don't have an idea. Huh.
And just his whole thing, he's like, I felt like Sam was like, hey, baby, be like Fonzie, okay? Everybody just be cool. Everybody just be cool. Like, let's be cool here.
Did
Of course,
Leo?
this is after he clocked out that fucking, or no, Hilo is the one who clocked out. So I wanted to see the entire episode was that kid get smacked upside the freaking head. And by the way, I am not getting into a fist fight with hot Hilo anytime soon.
No, why would you? I mean, that was like,
It's like,
and you know,
conk. And then you're like,
Timon
done.
Penniket, who plays him, he was, recently in one of those cheesy Netflix Christmas romance movies as like the creepy office guy, and from the cut of that suit, he's still built like that. Good on you, Tomo.
Yeah. And just like in Grace Park, who plays Sharon or Dina or Boomer, whatever you want to call her. She's in this, like, not comedy, it's like a drama TV show. And yeah, it's weird to see her in that show because I'm like, hey. But yeah, it's weird. But she does really well in that role. It's like not like just like this cold person is like.
Katie Sackhoff was cast in a show with Lou Diamond Phillips, but it only lasted a few episodes.
That's too bad.
I thought it was a really good show. This was like 3 or 4 years ago.
She's on a Netflix series right now.
They were both cops, like out in the middle of nowhere, and I think it was like New Mexico or something like that. Like it was actually a pretty cool show. But
I have a question.
Now she's on a new space show.
Did Leoben say that Starbuck and her husband have to like work things out?
Yeah.
And there must be a reason. I wasn't sure if I heard him say that or not.
He did. You're right.
Yes, he did.
That's what I told you. Not that I told you.
Did he say what?
Like, the idea that they had to, like, that she wasn't gonna have to kill, like, she wanted to kill him, but she can't. So it'll be like a thing of like reconciliation because she's important and he's obviously a Cylon, so can't like go kill one of the final 5. Yeah, well, there's maybe him or her looking towards Leoben and Anders helps key to Earth, because I made that weird bold prediction that like someone, if they're gonna have to compete with the Cylon base ship, which has a hybrid, they're gonna need their own hybrid in some aspect. So who knows? Maybe it's Anders that becomes a hybrid, the athlete that becomes the hybrid. I don't know. Because why else would he say that she's important?
Is going to become a hybrid?
I mean, why else would like he'd say like, oh, you have to be important? Like, why would? Because if it was just Starbuck that was important to the end, why would it matter? But like Anders, why does Anders have to be involved if she's the key sole person that make it to the end? Like, unless I'm completely wrong, It just seems like someone in the final five has to have some other value to the human race. Like Tori, she's working for herself. We all know that, and we'll talk about that. Tyrell, I don't know about Tyrell anymore. Ty works for the fleet, and the fleet pretty much tries to work for him, or at least the military part of the fleet. And I don't know. So like you got to pick someone in. Who knows? It's a social commentary of sometimes it's just like sometimes the stars have to fall a little bit. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but there's a reason why you also mentioned like you have to make right with Anders, and not like a thing of like relationships. Like you gotta be lovey-dovey again. It's like not because of that. It's like because
I think Starbuck made it pretty clear that she doesn't want to be romantic.
that's what I mean. It's like from a Leoben perspective of like you gotta be, lovey-dovey with it again. Like it's like not like that. It's like you have to be friends and like understand each other. Like you can't be fighting all the time or whatever, like that kind of thing. Like to make the end make sense almost. But I'm rambling. So
Not at all. All right, so we have the other major storyline here, which is the First National Church of Baltar.
Pious Gaius on the pulpit.
So now he'll be tax deductible when they get to Earth. He'll be like, me, I'm now tax exempt because you all believe in me. I'm the Church of Gaius. So everything that happened, oh look, and then also with surgery too. If he ever has to have any type of surgery, well, it'll be tax free because people believe in me. Yeah, the Church of Baltar. Oh man.
So yeah, we start out with his first thing, and the woman who is the woman who's talking about why she's so angry and so upset, because her family died, and she's like, I don't blame the Cylons. I blame our government. I blame the people who made the Cylons. I blame the industries that created them in the first place. And most of all, I blame the gods. And then he's like, well, you can't blame the gods because they don't exist. There's just going.
Yeah.
Do you ladies think, and I really want your absolute unequivocated opinions, do you think Gaius Baltar actually means what he's saying, or do you think he's just choosing another way to become a figure of power? Do you think he's just feeding some sort of megalomania?
That's an excellent question, because I had been thinking about that before the show today about, do I really believe? Like, I mean, he's being very convincing and everything, but I mean, he picks up and he goes to talk to Tyrell and everything. And, these seem like very calculated moves on his part. And see, we've always been let in on his deceptions before, but that doesn't mean that the writers are going to continue to let us in on his deceptions. Right? Not to mention...
I'm sorry I keep going off camera. My nose is running like I've done bad drugs for 5 days straight.
That's okay. I wanted to apologize to you guys that I'm off camera, because I've realized that as long as the screen on my phone, because I have to use camera on my phone, as long as the camera on my phone is on, I have issues with the audio. If I leave the camera and the screen off, then my audio is perfectly clear.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. For anybody who's been watching lately, I've been having audio issues, and I think it has to do with too much going on at once from the same device that's, fits in my pocket. So there's that.
But yeah,
So
Go
But
on with what you were saying. I didn't mean to interrupt you. It's just
that's all right.
cutting me off.
Yeah, no, I was just thinking about how, he had this whole idea that he was going to be a good idea for president too. He allowed himself to be persuaded that he was supposed to be making a difference that way. And he realized that he's not cut out for wise leadership. He's good at telling people what to do and he enjoys it. That doesn't mean he's good at it.
No.
And he's got little groupies now. That's even
He sure
better.
Did anybody else
Groupies.
get the feeling that he's kind of getting sick of his groupies?
Yes, because the whole conversation he's having while he's laying in bed with Tori, you know? But at the same time, she's like, come on, they're waiting for you. And she was like, basically saying that they weren't people of consequence. And it was hard to sort of get a fix on what the face that he was making made. It couldn't tell if he was annoyed that he was saying that these people weren't of consequence, or if it was I'm thinking about what my next strategic plan is to make this more effective. And then Tyrell shows up and he takes advantage of the situation because Tyrell is of consequence. He's somebody of consequence on the ship. Even if he isn't a politician or, he's someone of consequence. High profile.
Aye.
Anyway, that was sort of what I just took away from that whole idea.
Well, speaking of Tyrell, I mean, his whole thing. Oh wait, Mackenzie, Bobby, give your opinions. I want to know what you think about Baltar, and if he means what he's saying now, or
Um, I I think he probably does because there becomes that belief in yourself where you believe, especially in a religious context, that you probably believe in yourself so much that you become kind of invincible. Like he won against, Laura Roslin and Adama with in the last episode, when the Marines were trying to beat him down. And like a few other times. So it's not crazy to believe that he probably believes that. I was like, oh hey, now that I am a religious person, whether fictitious or not, like in terms of like whether he believes in it wholeheartedly or not, he believes it enough to be like, I'm now, for all intents and purposes, untouchable because, I'm a god. So it's like, I can effectively do nothing wrong, almost.
Right.
That's what he probably, like, thinks now, because it's like, what? You're going to try and arrest a god and incite religious, I don't know what the term is, but it's because I can't think right now. But it's like something like that, like, which could be detrimental, but also at the same time, maybe Bobby's right. Maybe he is a god and just doesn't know it yet. Bobby.
yeah, Bobby, do you still think that Baltar's God?
I think he's something, and I think he's starting to believe that he's something.
Do you think he means what he says in his messages that he delivers to the fleet?
I don't know what's he saying.
Well, all the things he says about
I can't
Yeah.
remember what he's doing.
the gods aren't going to help you because they don't exist.
Yeah, I think
There's
he
one
believes.
God.
He's never really been very religious, so he's only starting to believe it a little bit as he goes. Must be what he sees, or what he feels, or what Six is telling him. I don't know, but he. Remember before there was no gods, there was no nothing. So
Do you think he means what he's saying about compassion and forgiveness?
probably he acts different now. He's definitely different. He's the same. but he's still bad. But I think I don't know, because remember when this whole thing started, he was 100% all about Gaius Baltar. Nothing else mattered.
And now you don't think that's the case.
I don't think that's the case because you can see he's having compassion for people that he never had before.
That also brings in what he talks to Tyrell about and accepting, what is it? Accepting your fate.
Yeah.
Disastrous.
So I'm assuming he's accepting his fate of being a religious figure for all intents and purposes. So it's like he may not still believe it, but he's like accepting the fact that he probably is. And there's a reason why all of these people believe in him so much. So, yeah. Makes me think, but yeah, it makes me think that yeah, why not? He's probably a god, and he's important to the Cylon, so that means he's a god in their eyes, I guess. Yeah, and then also have the whole integrated storyline with Tyrell. That, oh man, that's rough to watch, that one. Especially like parts of Tyrell's storyline in this episode. It gets touchy in a couple of sequences.
Tyrell's broken.
Well, he can't be that broken because he can smell a rat. He knows something's up with the whole thing with Callie and
Yeah, and I hope he
and
finds out
why am I gapping on her name right now? Tori.
because we don't like her.
We don't like her, okay?
We do not
We're
like her.
mean girling on Tori right now.
Well, because she's a mean girl.
Yeah, well,
This-
she's
The bully. Did you see her just knock Callie down and just like shove her out into space
yeah.
without any emotion at all, holding her baby?
I know she's all like, girl,
Poor
I'm
Nikki.
gonna bitch slap you while I'm in heels and holding a baby.
Now that we've finally gotten to Anders in this episode.
Anders, you mean Tyrell?
No, in this episode, I would like to know what your opinions are about how the 4 known Cylons are reacting to the fact that they're Cylons. Because they're all handling it very, very, very differently.
Can I
Shit.
can I start with Anders on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
I think of all of them, Anders is probably the most pragmatic about it, without letting it go to his head or letting it make him too paranoid. If anything, other people around him are making him paranoid about it. But just knowing it himself, he's just like, well, I know who I am. So I'm just going to keep being who I am. Test the waters with my wife. Nope, can't be who I am with her. Okay, right then. I'll just do my job. And he just keeps going. And he's like, besides, kept my ass from getting blown up when my eyes went, whoa, to that raider that one time. So I don't know. I think he's the least fracked up about it. I don't think that it necessarily is affecting him less. I think it's just affecting him differently, and he seems to be digesting it or ignoring it better than the rest of them. But this whole moment with Leoben, when he was like, Leoben knows, you could tell by his face, he was like, shit.
Right.
But, Tori's like, I'm loving this. Woo! Bring it on. I'm super strong. I'm gonna be this Cylon.
She embraced it and she ran with it.
Yeah, right?
A better
Ties on like, I'll be fine. I'll be fine. I'm not fine.
Terrell's broken.
And Tyril's just broken. He's black. He's just broken.
All them times they called those guys all those horrible slang names like toasters and skin jobs and whatever else nastiness they could think of, and there they are.
Yeah, Tori, yeah, it looks like she's taking it and run with it.
I think.
Which, by the way, is my family motto.
Take it and run. Yeah.
Take it and run.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to say, but I think that for what it's worth, they're all dealing with it in their all of the known Cylons. They're dealing with their own shit in a certain way. It's obvious that Tyrell's the way that he is, and especially in this episode, because of the fact that he's now a single parent to a child that he hasn't really connected with on a deep level. Like, of course he loves Mickey, but there's and has a connection with him, but it's because we saw in those montages that he wasn't really there for him all the time, and it's just that's hard to deal with. Even when he eventually when he goes and is dealing with stuff, when he pulls a gun on himself basically and wants to shoot himself, that's not a good thing. With Ty, we didn't really see much of Ty. I don't think at all with for 5 minutes of him when he's talking with Tyrell, and it's just he's dealing with it as best as he can because he's also got 6 hanging around in his head that also look like Ellen. So
Yeah.
that's a big thing that he's dealing with. It's the image of his
6 that he's been spending a lot of alone time without any Marines present.
Or people watching on the cameras either.
Are there cameras?
Yeah, in the room.
Oh yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, to watch her. Yeah, because the last episode, he even clears out the people watching the cameras. So
yeah, it's true.
He's absolutely alone with her. So he's dealing with that as well, and coming to probably understand why he's seeing his wife that way. And then Tori, because he saw Tori standing beside Baltar in the beginnings of this episode, haha, look at me go. So they're all dealing with it in interesting ways. The person who's probably handling it the best out of all of them is probably Anders, in terms of not having to be confronted with his situation all the time. At least for now on the Demetrius, it's just dealing with Leoben, but Leoben's plays mind games with you, while the rest of them, they have to be presented with the idea all the time. Tyrell.
Right, Anders is hey, I don't have to deal with the fleet or any of that or any of you. I just have to deal with trying to do what I think is best for my crazy fucking wife, or my wife who I'm starting to think is crazy anyway.
Yeah. So he's probably the person who's dealing with it the best. The person who's dealing with it the worst is probably Tyrell, because avoiding every basic responsibility almost.
Well, he quit his job last week.
Yeah. And he's jumping rope, and Mickey's crying in the background, and he just turns on the music louder.
Well, no. One thing I would like to point out, it wasn't music. It was Baltar's speech for the day.
Yeah, his broadcast.
And he turned it off, and Nikki started crying, so he turned it back on.
Yeah, isn't that funny?
Well, I guess.
Funny, nah, haha.
It's funny. It's not funny, haha. It's funny your mother wears army boots funny.
Yeah, why is the baby mesmerized with Baltar?
Well, how long has he been doing a pirate broadcast? Was Callie already a listener?
Yes, yeah, they point that out, and she read the book
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the episode, because that's when Baltar starts talking about Callie, and that's what makes him go nuts.
But, yeah, okay, so pull things back just a little bit. You were talking earlier about the Tory Tyrell conversation in the airlock, where Tyrell's
Yeah.
like, something happened here. She was on antidepressants. So why'd she kill herself? Did she kill herself? And then,
Yeah, he's an engineer, right?
yeah, so he thinks in a structured, logical manner. I mean, that's pretty much a staple of his character. So he's like, "What the fuck happened here?" Because I can't see her killing herself.
Yeah. He doesn't buy it.
No.
Well, maybe he wants to know what Tori was doing with his kid.
Well, that's kind of the whole thing that I was wondering is I'm like, did he just go home and the baby was in the crib?
Yes,
Okay, so I mean
yes, that's actually exactly what happened. He got home and the baby was in the crib, and then he found out that his wife had killed herself.
well, I mean then he went going, why is my baby alone?
Probably thinking that she's nuts. I mean, she just flew out an airlock, and as far as he knows, nobody put her out it.
There's no cameras there. No cameras on the airlocks. They're everywhere else.
No, they're just in the brig.
To watch the prisoners?
Mm-hmm.
Huh. Well, I guess it's not retail.
I think, well, there's probably going to be something that's going to trigger him to find out about it. Like, it's,
He knows he can't trust her. He
yeah,
just got
like,
a feeling, I bet.
yeah, but there's probably going to be some way that they get proof, because, you know, this is this show, and eventually they'll bring out with some proof, or someone's going to say something, and, you know, it's, or she'll slip up, or something's going to happen where we find out the truth about what actually happened.
And that's another question. Do you think Tori's actually taken Gaius Baltar's religious message to heart, or do you think she's just spouting this shit
Well,
because she thinks she's supposed to, because she's a Cylon and now she's supposed to think in a different way?
how do they even know she went out the airlock?
Yeah, it's not like there was a body left.
Yeah, and there's no cameras, so how do they know?
Somebody was just by a window and was like, oh my God.
I guess it was reported, or they were like,
yes, huh?
hey, we can't find Callie.
Well,
Like,
it could
Tyrell
have
comes
been.
out, he's like, where the fuck's my wife? They look all over the ship.
Well, no, I think it was like explained how she explained it was that Callie was suicidal, and then she was able to somehow get into the airlock, and then, but she just, like, that little waiting area thing, and then just, she was already wanting to eject herself, kind of thing.
But is it ever even explained? I don't think it's even explained how it happened or that she was even there when it happened.
No, I think they like. Because I thought they did. I thought they said that they had a whole thing about. Yeah, I was, but it was too late or something like that. So I showed up and it was too late or something like that. I think I don't know. I could be wrong, but I thought that they had mentioned it because
I don't remember them mentioning it. I mean, we'll go back and have a look because
yeah,
you might have caught something that we all missed. So
well, because I thought that they would have like said something about it because there's a which because there was a look that Tyrell gives Tori at the end after they were talking after the service about like the whole situation because I think that was like the first time that they have had a conversation afterwards. So I'll have to relook, but there's something. I think there probably something came out about her being there because how else would they have been like, ooh, like explain it away? I don't know. That could be wrong. But speaking of Callie, they have the whole scene with Tyrell going to see Baltar, and Baltar singles out Tyrell and is like, "Come, like, shake my hand. It's what Callie would have wanted," and like that just sets off.
Well, he doesn't say
Tyrell.
shake my hand. He says take my hand. You know, just
Well,
like
yeah.
it's in an act of reaching across boundaries, like past boundary. What did you think of the huge change in Tyrell between the over the past two episodes? Like, shaved his head. He's working out all
I
the
was
time
just
right
gonna
now. He quit
say
his job.
he went all Miley Cyrus. As soon as I saw him jumping rope with the shaved head, the first thing that came to mind was like having a Miley Cyrus moment, eh, Tyrell?
Or Britney Spears.
Britney Spears, exactly.
And that's the thing I always tell myself, no matter how bad shit gets. If Britney can get through 2007, I can get through anything.
It's true.
I think it's to be expected. Um, with all of the stuff that's going on in his head. First, you find out that you're a Cylon, that your whole entire existence has been a lie, and then your wife dies / is murdered / commits suicide, and then you're left alone effectively with a child that you care about and you love, but also at the same time are unsure how to 100% take care of by yourself because Callie struggled to take care of Nikki by herself. So
Well, yeah. I mean, but she also thought her husband was cheating on her, so
yeah,
that complicates things. Uh, there's also the fact that like not only is he raising a child, like he's probably coming to the terms with the fact that he has a mixed species child. Like his child is half Cylon. There's only one more of those.
Yeah, and he doesn't
And
like Cylons.
well, I mean he has to. His kid is one, right? So
he's one himself. He's a Cylon himself.
exactly.
But
Well,
again,
he's
that
not like himself much.
True.
but
But you know,
yeah. Again, I think I thought a wellness check was going to be in this episode, but I guess it's next episode because something's going to happen with Tyrell where Nikki's is gonna have to bring Nikki to Doc Coddle or something. So
yeah. I have to make another confession when I watched that scene with him with the shaved head and the skip rope listening to Baltar's broadcast. My first thought was, oh, you went on Miley Cyrus. My second thought was, oh, the jump rope. You're all like, oh, I'm single again. I'm going to have to get fit. This is terrible. But I'm sitting
yep.
there laughing at myself and what's going on in my own head as I'm watching this episode.
Well, I mean, he did get a little bit. He had the love pounds on now. It's
Right?
like the single pounds are like, yep, we gotta be buff again.
Yeah, exactly. He's all
Well,
like,
Yeah.
I gotta get back to first season physique.
Yeah,
I think I
so.
told you guys about this. The reason he put on so much weight was because he actually had a really bad injury playing hockey.
Yeah. You told us about that a long time ago, actually.
Yeah, and he was like, that's why he put on so much weight during season 2 and season 3, is because he had an injury playing hockey and he couldn't like do any exercise. He could hardly walk to like perform.
I missed that bit of info.
Yeah.
What?
I didn't know that. If you
Yeah.
guys talked about that before, I must have missed it.
Because like
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't in like kilo shape, but first season he's in decent shape.
Yeah.
For a guy in his like 30s or whatever.
Nobody's in Hilo shape. Hilo's
No.
in a class all his own.
Exactly. But yeah,
Hot Hilo.
because he has a hockey player physique at least, so yeah, it makes sense that he'd probably be like not like skinny, but also not fat, like it's like muscle or whatever.
Right, but then
Uh,
you see him like starting with season 2, and it's like, dude, where'd that like 40 pounds come from?
Same thing with Lee. It's like, oh, now you got 50 pounds added to you. Oh, and then in like 5 episodes later, it's all gone. It's like, oh, geez.
Well,
Yeah.
he was jumping rope just like Lee, so maybe he's like doing the Lee Adama workout regimen.
They share workout tips now that they're both
Seems to
like
work.
single. They're both single people, or as single as you can be. So, with at least Lee anyway, because we haven't seen Dee since Lee said goodbye to Galactica. So where's that lady?
Who
Well, I
cares?
mean, she left him. I mean, they're essentially divorced.
No, I know, but she hasn't like been on
Oh, okay. I see.
screen
What-
in like 3 episodes. So it's like,
That-
where is she?
Yeah.
Where's she going?
She's definitely not a focus character anymore these days.
Yeah, not really
We
a
don't need
POV.
her.
We'll
Oh,
see
then
more D soon. Don't worry.
well, that means that she's probably gonna die because
More of those pretty eyes.
Oh, yep.
I'm not a
Yep.
fan.
she's probably gonna die too because
Not a fan
Die,
of D
die,
or not a
die.
fan of her eyes, because
Not
I think she has really pretty eyes.
her.
not a fan of her is what Bobby's saying.
And I'm not an eye person. Like, when I used to date people, that was like one of the last things I noticed.
Your eyes, I just want to hug them.
Right, I'm
Can I
so
rub your eyes?
or those people that are just like, I love your eyes so much. Like, oh my god, it's kind of creepy.
I have plain old brown eyes. That makes it simple.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
those aren't contacts that she's wearing.
No, those are her eyes. I've
Those
seen her
are-
on other roles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that really intense hazel is like
Oh,
it's
that's
something
Ralph.
you can't not notice.
Yeah, au natural. Yeah, they go and have that conversation with Tyrell, and then basically it eventually leads to Tyrell and Baltar having a conversation in Tyrell's quarters, where he's looking at pictures of Callie, and then asking forgiveness about Callie and how Callie was a good person, even though he didn't really know her that much. And involving people that you don't think is possible, and it's like seeing what fate is sometimes a guiding force, and you have to accept fate sometimes.
Yeah.
Two thoughts there right before he goes to Tyrell's quarters when he's having his step to Shayna Secrets. No, I'm not a boob fellow. I'm actually a leg fellow. But when he's in like with his church, I guess you'd call it. That keeps increasing every freaking episode. Like the number of people who are at his church, and he makes that gesture towards Tyrell. Do you think he meant it? And then second, do you think he meant it when he came privately to his quarters, knowing that he might get attacked in the freaking hall by Sons of Erelon or something like that? And still goes all the way to Tyrell's court and tries to make another it to me it came across as pretty sincere.
Well, a lot of things that he's done has come across as sincere. It doesn't mean that he knows what he's doing or that he's good at it. I just keep getting back to that. It's like he's charismatic and he's handsome and he's intelligent. He's got all these things going for him, but that doesn't necessarily mean that he is somebody of substance. It just means that he's enigmatic and intelligent and good looking. That's a magic combination for bringing people in. There's no necessarily, it isn't necessarily wisdom within that realm of celebrity, I guess.
Yeah. I feel like for the second part, he was being sincere about Callie. For the first part, I feel like it isn't. It, again, like what I said earlier, I'm tax exempt if I'm now the Church of Baltar. So
true.
He probably believes in himself enough to get people to believe in him. Like he believes in what he's saying because he believes that it makes him safe now in the eyes of everybody, or like majority of people, because if he is a god figure, a god and in the flesh, then no one's really gonna touch him unless they're gonna be like act against religion almost, even though there probably will be somebody who wants to punch him in the face or whatever. But I don't see that. Like, I see that he believes in himself and he wants to believe that he's being cautious, but also careful what he's saying with Tyrell, because like you said, John, he could pretty much dock him in a second. But I think he wants to better, like he even says, I want to understand Callie better. Like in the end, I want to know your wife, which will probably be a cathartic situation for Tyrell, because no one's really been like, how are you doing, besides like the whole fake BS that people do when someone's family member or a loved one dies. Like, how are you doing, but not actually meaning it. Like,
right.
Most of the time, like the most random person that he could have expected is like coming to him, and in a private moment is asking him how he's actually doing. Which
yeah, and that's pretty much what I'm asking. Do you think that he's actually sincere about all the stuff he says to Tyrell, or do you think it's just more Gaius Laius? Do you think he's really Gaius Pius, or is he Gaius Laius?
I feel he believes.
He's got it all.
I think he's believing in what he's saying, because I don't think that he's faking it to that like extreme. like at least in front of Tyrell, because he knows that, like, again, Tyrell could deck him in a second. Like, that, who knows, maybe better understanding Callie in some weird symbiotic way is able to then help them down in the like down the line in the future. Like, maybe it's part of something that, not saying it's part of his programming, at least for Tyrell, but it's to, he had to go through losing Callie to then gain information elsewhere, kind of thing. And like Baltar's like, oh, I can kind of understand you, even though I don't know that you're an important person, aka a Cylon, like that kind of thing. Like, I'll help you to help you help yourself, because that's what God, in a big, or any religious figure in a big grand scheme of things, is meant to do. It's like be a guiding force, support, on your journey through life, or whatever you want to call it. Baltar wants to be like the god and the priest at the same time. Like, believe in my faith, but also you can come to me and I can help you. Almost. Which is quite interesting.
Okay. I can see that. You notice we didn't see his 6 this episode.
No.
Yeah, she was standing beside.
No, but we didn't
Tori.
see Metal 6 this episode.
Yeah, she was standing beside Tori. Because 6 wasn't actually in the room. She was standing. There was 6 standing beside Tori in this. When Baltar's giving his speech.
If there is, oh my gosh, I have missed that like every time I've even watched it. Or maybe it's
Me too.
like, totally overlooked.
There was a 6, I believe she was wearing a blue outfit. And she was standing beside Tori when he was talking. And then, because he looks over to Tori, I believe, when he's talking about something. I can't remember what it is. But yeah, there's like a 6 that's standing there. I'll try and pull up, try and look for a picture.
Is this when he's like with the gal with the picture of her family?
Yeah. Yeah, it's like,
Interesting.
yeah, I'll try and
I'm gonna have to go over that again, because I literally I do not remember ever seeing that. I believe you completely. I mean, I'm not saying you're like making shit up or anything like that. It's just something I never noticed. I guess you're always used to seeing her around Baltar that you don't even think about it.
I didn't even notice that Tori was actually there.
Yeah,
I remember thinking she wasn't.
I don't think I noticed anything ever.
Yeah, she was standing in the room. I'll just have to get the picture of it, but yeah, she's like standing in the room with Tyrell, because she's not Tyrell, with Baltar, and yeah, when he's talking about the Cylons and like why they're so what's it called, important, or why the woman's like talking about how she hates them so much. I'll try and pull that up. But continue.
I want to say, am I the only one that was getting hardcore Hugh Hefner vibes off of Baltar when he was doing the whole, I'm so sorry about your family and the gods don't exist? Like, did you notice the house coat that he's in? Like, all he needed was a pipe. All he needed was a pipe and like for all the girls in the room to be in bikinis. And like it was like, what's going on, Hef?
A pool would have been a nice addition,
right? What do you call those kerchiefs? Cravat. Like
an ascot.
An ascot. That's what it. Or isn't a cravat also like an ascot, or is it different?
A cravat hangs down lower. An
Okay.
ascot is like what Fred wears on Scooby Doo. That's an
Is an
ascot.
ascot.
And the reason I always remember that, even if I didn't have my obsession with formal wear that I do,
Yes.
is because there was a show years ago called Drawn Together. Did any of you get to see that?
Oh God, years ago.
It was on Comedy Central, and it was basically like Big Brother with cartoon characters, and it was the most messed up show. Like they had this like generic Pikachu and like the black superhero woman and all this. But one episode they have some guy who's quite obviously Fred from Scooby Doo, and he gets the shit kicked out of him, and she's like, "That's not an ascot. Your ascot handed to you."
Oh, interesting. Okay, so I had to look it up. And basically, the cravat is any cloth that you tie around your neck for decorative purposes. As such, it's the forefather of the tie, the bow tie, scarves, and even ascots. Think of it as an umbrella term. So basically, an ascot is a cravat, but a cravat is not necessarily an ascot.
Right. I would call a cravat something that goes to about here.
Yeah.
Out of fashion around the 19th century.
I never either of those things.
But yeah, I mean, I guess technically, yeah, you could use it for an umbrella term. Why are we talking about ties? Lee isn't in this episode.
Well, but
and Lee looks damn good in a tie. You got to admit.
Because Baltar needed one to go
Lee
with
looks
his,
damn good in a tie.
with his hef robe.
Exactly.
So I guess those were the major storylines. Basically, I mean, it all focused around like the Tyrrell / Baltar convergence and the crew of the Demetrius this week.
Yeah,
we didn't get any captain.
You didn't even see Adama in this episode.
No, we didn't see Admiral Adama. Although, you know, he and Hilo obviously go to the gym together because he's the only one that's got guns that could even come close to Hilo's guns.
Any Laura in this episode?
What?
You don't see Laura in this episode? You don't see Apollo in this episode?
No.
You don't see D?
No, you don't
but
see.
That's because they're trying to focus on a certain storyline. I'm glad they
it's true.
I'm glad they do things this way once in a while where they just take and like a couple of storylines, and that's what we're going to do with this 45 minutes because we're not going to
just too many.
I freaking hate when shows do that.
Well, and you got an ensemble cast, right? Which you do when you got a situation with like a crew and different ships and different aspects of society.
But Tyrrell has his
I think we've.
What do you think of the conversation he had with Saul?
Oh, well, I mean, I think that kind of goes back to the earlier discussion about how they all seem to be dealing with it. Like Tyrrell Saul is criticizing Tyrrell with his behavior, to which Tyrrell counters, don't even talk to me because everybody's talking about what you've been doing. Like, at least everybody can, sympathize that Tyrrell's acting weird because his wife just died and that's super traumatic. Like, people would be able to understand that. It's not suspicious. But the fact that he's hanging out with the Six, that's suspicious.
Yeah. But somehow
he's like, are you the same old Salt High? Is that what you're doing? You're the same old Salt High? Bullshit.
Yeah, that somehow strangely looks like his dead, air quotes, wife. So I looked it up, and I was actually not correct. It's Trisha Helfer's only credited for this episode, but I guess it was because a woman who looks pretty much like her that I got confused for 0.5 seconds. I was like, wait a second. But like I could have been
Somebody
like,
was in the 6 situation, like the
yeah,
situated next to Baltar, the way we would usually see 6 or
yeah,
So
like,
something.
she's in the crowd. That's what you were talking about, right, Mackenzie? She was like out in the crowd. She wasn't like.
it was how I thought it, but it's IMDb says she's as a credit. But like how I thought it was staged was that he looks at Tori when they are talking, and then there's a blonde, taller than Tori, blonde-headed woman that looks kind of like Trisha Helfer. So that's why I was like, wait a second, is that her? So it would have been interesting if it was actually her and he was talking to like Tori, but he was actually meaning to talk to like 6. I was wrong, so I apologize. But
No problem. There are pretty large casts in some of these episodes, especially when you
Yeah.
go into the Church of Baltar. What do you guys think about the fact that the Church of Baltar keeps growing and growing?
no,
Well,
it's meant to happen, you know. It's
he's doing pirate broadcasts, and I mean, obviously, it goes back to the fact that he's charismatic and he's well known and he's intelligent. You know, he knows how to read people. It goes back to that conversation that we were having, along with the fact um, that he's appealing to the people that are in the sort of lower echelon of power, which, you know, they address, you know, because Tori's talking about how no one of consequence was following him. So,
And Tori's just a.
which with the B?
Amy's not here, so I can't say it. Tori's just an unpleasant person.
Yeah.
If Amy were here, I could say it. I'd have somebody to back me up. But I won't put it forward.
We'll stick with Twat Waffle.
So, okay, so
Are we at the ratings?
one last thing I want to ask is, who do you give your acting chops to this week? Because this is a hell of a good dialogue-heavy, acting-laden episode. So who gets your acting chops this week? Because that's a really freaking hard question to ask.
It really is a hard question to ask because it was just really good all around.
I mean, for me, it's oh God, why can I never remember his name? Aaron, the guy who plays Tyrell.
His name is that guy.
You live in
That guy
Canada,
on that
don't you all
show.
know each other?
Is he Canadian?
Yeah, your like entire country has a population of like 400 people or something like that.
Aaron Douglas is his name.
Yes, thank you. His acting chops in this episode I thought were freaking awesome. I mean, it between the scene with Baltar and the scene with the gun.
Ooh, he was born in the same hospital I was born in.
Good.
I like him so much better now.
But
What's
yeah,
that? Sorry?
but between those two scenes, like I just think, yeah, totally. He's got a hook, line, and sinker for this episode, and there's so much good acting in this episode. But for me, that was it. I mean, especially that scene when he's just sitting down by himself with the gun, like it came across as very real.
Tyrell hasn't been right since he tried to kill himself.
Yeah, since way back when.
Yeah, he has not been right since then.
Do you remember a line from that episode?
Who?
Do you remember a line from that episode?
Which one? That first.
Preacher?
Maybe I'm a Cylon and I don't remember seeing you at any of the Cylon parties.
Yeah, the preacher guy or whoever he was talking to, the
Cavill.
therapist.
Cavill.
Right. Right.
Just thought that was important. Bobby, acting chops for this episode.
Well, I thought Hilo did a great job. Not that my opinion matters on this subject, because I don't know.
Well, no, I wouldn't be asking your opinion if it didn't matter.
It
No,
really-
Hilo does a
really
really
doesn't.
good job of being conflicted during the entire episode.
Yeah, he had it rough this time.
I entirely agree. Kenzie?
Oh, geez, there's a couple people that really were standouts for this episode. You got Tyrell having to play that like person who's effectively starting to really lose their mind. Like he was having to portray someone who was thinking about killing themselves, not just killing themselves, but shooting themselves in the head. He also did a really good job this episode, as well as Starbucks. She was like all over the place, like especially when she was pummeling Leoben, and then when Leoben's like, "Well, it's like if you basically kill me, like then your dream's dead, my friend. Like then this all ends in your head. All of this goes away," and her like stopping herself and like putting her head in her hands and it's like no, like kind of thing. Like they all did really well acting this episode. The one person I was like, with her is like Tori, because she's just like, I just don't like her anymore. I'm just like, you.
Yeah, but her acting
Wonderful.
wasn't bad by any means.
No.
It's just it's a character you're really starting to like to hate. It's kind of like Baltar was in season 1.
Yeah.
Till you get to know him, and
He
then
was just nuts.
you become
From the get-go.
a little more sympathetic towards his character, or at least I did. I would not speak for another person, but yeah, she's a good actress. She plays it well.
Oh, excuse me.
She's
That's
just
okay,
a very unlikable character.
Mm-hmm. She played the unlikable, but yeah. Like I feel like everybody gets a round of applause for this episode. Like everybody on the Demetrius, they were well acted because playing a stressful situation and your boss isn't listening to you effectively, and Church of Baltar and all of that crazy shenanigans. Big round of clap, golf claps for everybody.
The first national church of Baltar.
Golf client.
All right, so predictions for the next episode, ladies.
Oh. I think that Leoben and Baltar are going to get together and they're going to start a new televangelist TV show. And then one of them is going to be caught in a sex scandal. Probably Baltar, knowing him.
Were you serious, or was that just joking?
I was just kidding. I do think that they're going to meet up and that something's going to happen, but I don't think they're going to become. Well, I mean, they could become. They've got the pirate radio show. They might be all like, "Dude, we got a Cylon now. Time to upgrade." So
they make
maybe.
a podcast. The doctor and the Cylon.
There's no internet communication on the ship.
No, I know, but they just it's a live podcast. Like,
yeah.
What do you think? I don't know. What do you think? I think I should just drop for a second. Might have been internet, or she got a call. My prediction is again we may go to that base star that Starbucks not wanting to go to. There's that fight again about whether they go or not. But then they end up at Galactica anyways. Like it's like a jump, say hi to the people that we need to take care of, and then they boot it back to Galactica. And yeah. But also Starbucks still gets undermined, but somehow she ends up back on top. Bobby, what do you think may happen next episode?
I would imagine that Starbucks usually on top.
No, but like the fact that she's been X'd out as the XO. I know, but you're saying.
I was making
like,
a childish joke.
I know what you were saying, but it's like the fact that she's no longer the XO, but she'll become, or the captain, but she'll become the captain in the end. Bobby, do you have a prediction?
Bobby, prediction.
No, I never have prediction.
Bobby, the easy way out is to say that there's a next episode. If you don't have a prediction, just like there's another
I
episode.
think this will be continued next week.
To be continued. I hate those words. After this program, I absolutely hate those words.
I know, right? They do it to us so much.
Yeah, but it's
It's
done
like
well.
Batman after school.
It's not kitschy, you know. It comes off as well done. You know, I've always said overall, I think this is some of the best television that's ever been put on the air, and I think that they're to be continued. Like they aren't kitschy; they're well done. They really do leave you hanging on the edge of your seat and wondering. It's not just like a shtick. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For a binge watcher, it's really tough to get through without watching the next episode. Never mind
I
seeing all
know.
these continued. Oh, hate it.
Since we want instant gratification, 2020 is made.
Before we go into rankings, I do want to bring up the fact that actually I'm really glad Septa Shayna's Secrets popped in here to bring up where the title of this episode comes from.
Oh, it's from the poem.
It's from the poem
Robert Frost.
The Road
It's
Not
by
Taken.
Robert Frost, yeah.
It's from the poem The Road Not Taken. And two roads diverge in a yellow wood. And sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth, and took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Through that the passing there had warned them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads to way, I doubted I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Now, how do you think that applies to this episode before we drop our predictions and ratings?
Oh, I think they're equally applying it to Starbuck as they are to Baltar, personally, and even Tyrell. You know, but I think those are the three main focus characters that the feel of the poem are talking about.
So you think they're all at the point where they have to make a decision?
The thing is that there's so many interpretations of that poem. Like there are some people that think that it means that you should go your own way. There are people who think that it means that it shows you that sometimes the path laid out before you is the best one to take. Whether or not that would necessarily be your choice you know, the road less traveled is going to be a rougher road, so you should stay off of it, where others say interpret it as meaning you should chance it. I mean, I've actually had discussions about this poem at times throughout my life, even in high school and like junior high school. We might
Yeah,
have
I think that
even
was about
covered
the
it in
time I-
debate team when I was in like grade 9 or something. So
Debate team.
yeah, dude, I was picked for debate team because, you know, I guess I'm good with arguing with people.
I can see that.
No, really? No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Unfortunately, I could never find a partner that could keep up, so they dissolved the debate team
That's half the reason I'm celibate.
because you didn't have anybody on the debate team with you.
No, because I couldn't find a partner that could keep up.
Oh well,
Uh,
send them to the gym.
for the
Anyway,
for the
ratings.
for the poem though, I just feel like taking the road less traveled by means like probably relates to the final four in some strange way, as well as Baltar and Starbuck. Not so much the rest of the named cast, but like those 6 people, it's like mostly affects them the most and most related to that. Rate, Bobby, what's your rating for the episode?
Or do you have any thoughts on the poem?
No, I don't have no thoughts on the poem.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with it, so.
So, well, I just read it to you, so you're a little familiar
And
with
you
it.
expect me to listen and like remember one sentence to the next? You forget it. Do you even know me at all?
Oh, Bobby.
No. I'd have to have that poem in front of my face, and I'd have to read it myself like 15 times before I have a clue.
So your rating I see here is what, 9 out of 10 Starbucks Starry Skies?
Starry skies. Did I spell it wrong?
No.
You got it. And then, do you have a Cylon prediction?
I guess I'll just say Starbuck because I don't know what the hell's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe they didn't take her ovaries or her eggs. Maybe they just implanted something.
Maybe that's Bobby's prediction for the night.
Well, also,
Yeah.
sorry, I'm trying to write this all down and talk to you at the same time. My apologies. You know, yeah, because Starbuck's one of those characters you're really wondering about. So is Baltar in that matter. I mean, you had spoken of that earlier. But getting to other Cylon predictions, Mackenzie.
Yes. You know me, I predict that it's Ellen Tide. That's the last Cylon.
That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Yep. Because why does Ty keep seeing this woman? Especially if it is his Cylon wife, but his also human life wife, like when you thought he was a human, not a Cylon.
Maybe he's just in love with her. Can't let her go.
He kind of finally got over her for a while, for like a couple episodes at least, because after the trial episode, that was when he was like, or before then, like the first trial that they had for Baltar, he kind of got over it, and then came back when all of the craziness with the music. But yeah, I think they were. What's another prediction? If it is Ellen, they were a Cylon couple that was married
See,
before,
I
so
think
that's why they were
Kenzie's the
married.
last Cylon because she's like, oh, why would somebody have any emotional attachment to somebody they were married to for years and put up with all their shit forever? Like, and I'm not even talking a skin job. Like, I think Kenzie's actually, that's why she's off screen. She's actually Centurion.
With me, it's a facade. This picture, it's some random person. You never know. Except you've met me before, John. So you can't.
I think I've met you before.
Yeah.
What's your ranking for this episode?
Oh God. This one was really good. I really enjoyed this one.
Oh, just do it. Just do it. Just drop it.
This is a 9. Oh no. Wait. What did I say? What did I just think it was when Bobby was saying her thing? I said, oh no, fuck, what was it? I'm trying to think. It was like, oh no, something about the oh no, the X, oh no, the XO or something like that got like in power or something. I can't remember exactly what it was. I forgot to write it down. But it was something about basically Hilo being like, oh no, like snapping your fingers, kind of like
That's
dramatic.
why I keep putting them in chat, like all throughout the show.
Yeah. Oh, man, like, oh snap, goes the XO or something like that. That's what it was.
Clarissa?
I give it 9.8 Starbucks Leoben lattes with a shot of Anders.
A shot of Anders.
Give me a second to write that down.
Okay.
But yeah, oh gee. But a Starbucks latte, like
The Starbucks
No, I saw what you were doing
Starbucks
there.
Leoben latte with a
The
shot of
Leoben-
Anders.
with an extra shot of Anders.
I think I can make one of those.
I can take an extra shot of Anders if she doesn't want any.
With a side.
I was just like,
Oh, and then you can also order your Hilo hot chocolate to go with it. There you go.
with a Hilo hot chocolate. Got a hot dog? Oh wait, he's got a rash. Yeah. That's nasty. That dog ain't so hot no more.
I don't think he has the rash anymore. He hasn't been complaining about an itchy crotch.
I do have to say that was one of the funniest scenes of this entire series. Is that scene in the ready room when Hilo's like scratching his crotch?
I was hoping there'd be more of it. Like
when
they end
the
up
hot
being
dog's like
alien
scratch
slime.
and Hilo's like,
You okay there, bro?
"You okay? I hope she was worth it." And then moves a seat away from him.
It's so good. It's
Like
so good.
it was just such a funny scene. Like
Yeah.
just thinking back on it, like I get like teary-eyed laughing about it because it's such a funny scene.
Yeah, itchy.
I have been in a very similar situation with somebody once before.
Because you can't forget Hot Dog had to go to Doc Coddle for some down there cream.
Yes, the famous
Down there cream.
All right,
Okay.
and what's
So,
your
on
prediction?
that
note,
What's your prediction for next week, Clarissa?
I gave you my prediction for next week.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Ooh, excuse me.
That
What did
Baltar and Leoben
Yeah,
were gonna join forces
they're gonna join forces and
and
start their own
and-
religion or something like that.
yeah, they're gonna start televangelist broadcast, and yeah, but no sex scandal. Well, I mean, it is Baltar after all, but
It is Baltar.
it
If
is
it's
true.
Baltar, is it really a scandal?
I think there's going to be some kind of conflict. That's my
There's gonna
prediction
be a
for next
big
week.
conflict and then a small conflict, like the show does. Like wide scale conflict and then internal conflict. And
I
there's
thi-
also gonna be another episode after that. After
Yeah,
next
it's
episode.
true.
There's another one. John,
And
what do you
I'm
what do
sad
you
to say
rate
it'll
them?
be.
Marissa, who's your Cylon?
Oh, my. Were we doing one Cylon or three?
There's only one left.
Okay. No, but last week we were choosing 3 people that we thought might be the final Cylon.
Oh, okay.
Are we doing that again?
Whatever you prefer.
Ellen, Starbuck, and Adama.
Dun, 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 dun.
Adama.
So yeah, on a keyboard, it's like "Adadaba."
Okay.
John, what do you rate this
Adama.
episode?
I had to really think about this one. And just because I think the second half of this is even better,
Oh boy.
I'm giving this a 9.9.
Ooh.
We got a 10 coming up.
Baltar beautification ceremonies.
Oh, sorry. Oh, Jason. Yeah. John, how many 10 episodes are in season 4 for you?
Oh, season 4.
Ooh. My computer's hot. I gotta go.
I'd say 6.
Ah, so we have to look forward to that. But
All right.
yeah,
So Clarissa has to go because her computer's exploding. And
Probably is too.
we've been on here for over 2 hours, so thank you all for coming out. Thank you for anybody who's watching this later.
Thanks for coming
Yeah.
out, everybody. So say we all.
So say we all.
Here we are.
So say we all.
Good night.
Bye.